I've never really understood the SUV. It was a car designed for those who live in the city but like to get out for the occasional adventure, and then ended up being bought by those who live in the city but whose idea of the occasional adventure is a visit to a new mall. And if there's one car I understand less than the SUV, it's the compact SUV. That's because everything I've said still applies, but since it has compact in the name, it's smaller, less versatile, and can carry less stuff, adventures or not. Clearly though, my non-comprehension isn't shared by everyone, because SUVs in whatever shape or form are big business. And here's another contender vying for that slice of business, the Renault Duster. Straight away, I like the way it looks because it kind of does what it says on the tin. It's not cute or designy. In fact, to me, it could be the European offspring of the old Hummer H2. It's not as obese as the American, but it still has a big grille with lots of chrome, a vertical front end, and a boxy back. It's also broader in the metal than the pictures suggest, with a front end that really catches your eye. The only thing to complain about, and it really is a minor complaint, is the door handles. It's one of your first interactions with the car, and they feel flimsy and look very plasticky. Besides that, it's a chunky, no-nonsense looking thing, this car, and it does have an air of solidity to it. And you get the same sense in here. Again, it's not designy, it's functional. It's got solid plastics and a dark color scheme. But within the dashboard, with its sensible layout, there is some decent spec, including a touchscreen system with sat-nav. Renault's new Media Nav interface is almost too pretty for this car, with its bright graphics and slick layout, but its simple ergonomics and ease of use are elements that add to the Duster's softer than expected interior. Along with Bluetooth and USB interface, they make the Duster a particularly comfortable thing to drive, even when you don't stick to tar, and the combination of gloss black and chrome accents give it just a bit of class. It is a practical little beast too, with a huge boot and the usual configurations for the folding rear seats. Ordinarily, I don't really care what a car is called because a name, generally speaking, doesn't have any bearing on what the car is about. Having said that, there are some names that just work. Land Cruiser, Boxster. They give you an idea of performance and solidity, and it's the same with Duster. It kind of tells you that this car doesn't mind getting dirty. Although that idea kind of falls apart when you add the word feather to it. Which is just a random thought and has zero bearing on the feather duster. Duster. Powering our test car is an engine that's proved popular in Europe when fitted to other Renault models, but is making its South African debut in this car, the 1.5 dCi turbo diesel with 80 kilowatts and 240 newton meters in this all-wheel drive version. Combined cycle fuel consumption is 5.3 liters per 100, and the CO2 is 137 grams per kilometer, which are decent enough figures, but you do have to get used to the way it all comes together. It seems the torque has all been squeezed into a narrow band from just below 2,000 RPM to about 3,500. So if you pull off without giving it enough right foot, it kind of feels wheezy and asthmatic and underpowered. So what you do to counteract that is boot it, and then you do get enough power, but of course it messes up your fuel consumption. On the upside, it is a very tractable engine, and there just seems to be enough power when you need it. It also means you can take corners quite easily in third gear, so there's less work to be done in this 6-speed manual. And when you do decide to check out its off-road abilities, there's good low-down power in all the lower gears, plus the intelligent all-wheel drive does most of the work for you. Auto mode, for example, apportions the torque to the wheels with the most grip, and for a small SUV, it is actually quite impressive. I did some urban exploring in this car, which basically involves some curb mounting and some navigating some very rutted gravel roads, and it never felt I was riding a pig with hiccups. It was always very composed and just soaked up the surface. That's within the bounds of reality though. No low range means it is limited in pure off-road talent, but still, compared to just about anything else in its class, I reckon this thing feels the most solid. It's also got more personality and a more advanced interior than, say, a Citroën C4 Aircross or a Mitsubishi ASX. It's also cheaper than both of those cars. For me, the Renault Duster is one of the most complete SUVs I've driven because it's comfortable around town and it's capable off-road, and Renault don't seem to have compromised on any of its abilities. The Duster's turbo diesel has a torque delivery that takes getting used to, but it is a tractable engine that delivers enough power when needed. It's a car with a personality to match its somewhat unconventional styling, a value-added package with a comfortable drive around town and above-average off-road abilities.